Only
Um,
one was a Game Boy.
I'll make it up to you, son.
So what's this video about?
If Texas can actually succeed from the United States, or I guess from the Union, as the video calls it, that was kind of interesting. I don't even know if it can be done. I figured I'd get your guys' input on it and what you guys think.
Well, I haven't watched this video, but I currently reside in the Lone Star State. So, um, the bit that I know about it is, I believe at some certain point when Texas, I guess, fought for their independence from Mexico, they went like maybe like 9 or 10 years or something like that, where they were pretty much an independent country, so to say, because they wasn't really part of the U.S. and they were independent from Mexico. So, and Texas is one of the few states in the U.S. that is doesn't rely on a lot of like the government like funds and a lot of government like financial stuff. So Texas kind of exists on its own merit. Like it gets its own oil and gas, and which is one of the big things about Texas, oil and gas. Um, it does a lot of produce on its own because it's
Mm.
barbecue and food. They're next to the Gulf, so they got a lot of import and export. So Texas can pretty much survive on its own, at least, I guess verbally, and it has done so in some sense. So there's a lot of people who feel that Texas should go back to being independent and not exist within or feel part of the U.S. as it in its entirety. Um, but is it likely to happen? I'm gonna say no. It's probably not likely to happen. But you still know a lot of people. I know there's people signing little petitions and everything that Texas is a very red state, so they don't like Biden or any Democratic in office for one. And one of the things is they trying to, like I said, start these petitions and stuff to ask Texans to go back to being independent.
So, Father, you live in Texas. How do you feel about it? Would you rather them be part of the United States?
Uh, I think it's crazy because if Texas went independent, like the one thing I think Texas needs is its own military. Like Texas doesn't have its own military. We got a lot of guns. It's Texas, so
Right.
it'll be like a what you call that, a militia when it's
Militia,
just
yeah.
One big militia. Yeah.
yeah. But it doesn't have its own military. So I think to be a country of real substantial value, I think you need a military. You need to have a whole like functioning, I guess, what, three branches of power. So
Yeah, because if they ain't got no military, then America could just come over and spank that ass and take it back.
Why would America let them do it in the first place? I'd be like, oh, you want out? Too bad.
Yeah.
The fuck?
It sounds kind of nuts. I mean,
The answer is no. Keep giving me money.
it sounds good though. Like they got their own
Yeah.
resource. They got everything but a military. You know what I mean? So you don't
The
have
problem
nobody
is,
to protect all of that.
the other problem is like where it's located, America would be very stupid to give up that territory.
oh,
That's
yeah.
another access from the southern border for any foreign power that may ally with Texas. Like, fuck that. Why would I ever allow it? Never happen. Like strategically, if I were America, like if America was a person and I was America,
Right.
I'd never give up Texas. Never.
Yeah.
Never happen.
I mean, that was the whole thing with the Cold War between Russia and America and Cuba, because Cuba is so close to America that they was like, nah, you can't
Yeah.
you can't have
Nah.
Cuba, and Russia
Nah.
like, nah, it's us, man. We can put whatever we want to put over there. What
Yeah.
y'all gonna do about it? Cuba is our ally, so yeah.
Yeah, that's awfully close to the borders. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Well, I guess we should see what the lawyer has to say, huh?
Ah.
America, we need to talk. We've grown apart these last few years. It's not you, it's Mississippi. It's Mississippi. Pew Research reports that over the past 7 years, Americans have increasingly felt that their political opposites are stupider, more dishonest, more immoral, and lazier. And the simple fact is, they're right, regardless of what side they're on.
I'm playing both sides so that I always come out on top.
And in light of this increasing political acrimony among Americans, some have begun to think it was good while it lasted, but it's time to call it quits on this whole union thing. For example, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has declared a crisis at the border and says that Texas has a right to self-defense and is going to take over immigration duties from the US government and stop the US government from interfering. And many politicians agree, like Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, who triggered a firestorm of criticism by repeatedly demanding a national divorce in which Red America and Blue America go their separate
pause
ways.
just for
And we
1
should listen to Congressperson Greene.
That lady is batshit crazy. That's all I'm gonna say about her. I've heard some of her stuff, and I was like, this bitch don't know. Well, this lady don't know what she's talking about. That's all I had to say. Just had to get that off my chest.
Her shit got 33.9 million views,
Yep.
72,000 likes.
Out of 33 million views, you got 73,000 likes.
Yeah, that's wild.
Because she knows from experience what it means when someone decides they can't stand you anymore and unceremoniously leaves you. But while Greene was pilloried on all sides for her call for splitting up the union, a March 2023 poll suggests that around 1/5 of the population, or 66 million Americans if you can extrapolate from that, are amenable to a national divorce. Looks like the 250-year itch is real. And even soon-to-be also-ran Nikki Haley is on tape claiming the Constitution allows states to secede.
Do you believe that the states of the United States have the right to secede from the Union?
I think that they do. I mean, the Constitution says that.
And admittedly, these numbers are alarming, though it's unclear to what extent it reflects a sincere desire to break up the union as opposed to a way to register their displeasure that the person you didn't vote for became president. But in 2009, Governor of Texas and King of Failing Upwards, Rick Perry, jokingly suggested his state would consider secession.
He looked like a fucking moron.
After the election of Barack Obama. But this isn't just a red state thing. In 2017, a poll found that 32% of California voters supported seceding from the US following the election of Donald Trump, up from 20% in 2014. And again, after Joe Biden was elected, Texas is once again partying like it's 1861 by refusing to accept election results and threatening secession. Regardless, what was once unthinkable, the breakup of the United States, has become a real issue we can no longer treat as a mere hypothetical. So today, Legal Eaglets, let's talk about what would happen if states opted to formally leave the union and whether that's legally possible. Now, typically, it's a mistake to treat.
What is the point of this? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What if we give Texas what they want, then what?
The U.S. will lose a lot of money because Texas, like I said,
no. What is their end game? What's Texas end game? We let you go now. What?
Oh, Texas can pretty much make laws and do anything else that they want to do, pretty much.
So continue business as usual. That's
well, okay. A lot of they feel like I'm not an expert on it, but like Texas, I think we're the first state that really stops like I think it was it abortion rights. They basically took away all the abortion rights for women. So I think Texas was the first one to do that. And
still got the death penalty.
Yeah, still got the
So they feel like America's being a pussy? Is that it?
I'm sure there are some that would agree to that.
Okay. All right, that's kind of what I want to know. All right.
Cranks with any kind of serious inquiry. After all, Marjorie Taylor Greene is not exactly what one would call a constitutional scholar, but her proposal is not without precedent. After all, the United States of America was born out of secession. And ever since the colonists declared themselves an independent nation, threats to leave the Union have long been made by various constituents of the U.S., but rarely acted on. And in fact, the first serious threat of secession came not from the Deep South, but from New England. In 1814, New England delegates attended the Hartford Convention to protest President James Madison's mercantile policies and the War of 1812, with more extreme delegates making an unsuccessful push to leave the Union. And then, and stop me if you've heard this one already, after the election of Abraham Lincoln in 1860, 11 southern U.S. states broke off from the Republic to form the Confederate States of America, triggering a bloody 4-year Civil War. And of course, despite modern attempts by some to claim the Confederacy was fighting for states' rights, not slavery, we know that that's pretty much false. How do we know? Well, for one, the majority of the states explicitly wrote in their declarations of secession that the reason they seceded was to preserve slavery and prevent political equality between whites and blacks. But you know, sometimes people are only textualists when it's convenient. But even cities have gotten on the secession bandwagon, or in this case, perhaps the secession yacht.
Sorry, can you pause one more time? Just want to add, I think I might have mentioned it before, but I think I mentioned that, Juneteenth, the holiday that's now a national holiday for the U.S., it originated from basically Texas, because when the the Emancipation Proclamation was released and everything, and they said, the slaves were free. Texas had the knowledge, but they didn't spread the word around to like the other states for like months and months later. So like the slaves who at the time didn't know how to read or anything, so they didn't even know they were free until later on, which is why like now they celebrated Juneteenth, but they was actually like free like months, like was it June? No, I think it was January when they actually signed it. So it was like all the way until June before the rest of the states was like, and the slaves found out that they were actually free.
Damn.
That's
So it's supposed to be more like January 10th.
Yeah.
Sound like some Texas shit.
Martha's Vineyard, along with Nantucket, actually voted to secede from Massachusetts. Yes, in 19...
Also, let me say this right quick. When he said old girl wasn't like a Constitution expert, I hate how somebody always discredit the next person because they have a different opinion from them. Like nobody's never an expert in the world.
No, she's crazy.
She's crazy, but that don't mean she's not an expert.
Expert in insanity? Okay, fair enough.
All right.
1977, the Martha's Vineyard Selectmen voted 10-2 for secession to protest a redistricting plan that would reduce their representation in the state legislature. On an even smaller level, some Americans have simply proclaimed their property to be an independent micronation. For example, in 1998, Kevin Baugh declared his 11.3-acre property in the Nevada desert to be the Republic of Malosia. And since 1998, President Baugh has ruled his micronation as a benevolent dictator.
I am President Kevin Baugh of the Republic of Molossia, a tiny self-declared country within Nevada.
Mr. Pipe like
That's
this.
within the United States. We have everything that a nation should have: bank, stamps, and the post office.
To date, no country...
This guy got a lot of money and a lot of time on this fucking ass.
That's my
I was-
hero. That's
I was
my
just
hero.
thinking, certain people tried that shit, they get blown the fuck up.
He's
I ain't
been
gonna lie,
doing it.
no way.
He's been doing it for a while.
Yeah, he could do it.
Yeah, because he's in Nevada. What about the What about the Branch Davidians up in Waco and shit? Like that motherfucker. And they not bothering him. The fact that he's able to do it and hasn't been bothered lets me know he has no weapons.
He more power to him. I look up to a guy like that. He's looking towards the future, own everything. And the only thing I want to end at before we continue through this is this man has a fresh ass suit. That's a nice suit.
That's a nice, well-to-do suit. A guy you can trust.
I don't
That
know
is
if I
a
can
nice
trust it, but
Yeah.
it's nice.
He just speaks like sincerity and honesty. I mean, look at his face. His eyes look like they're almost tearing up.
Yeah.
That is a man you have to put your faith in and believe every word that he's saying.
That's
He
right.
he looks like he puts his comb in his mouth and slobs over it and then just fucking.
He
and
looks like
good
he's
to
trying
go.
to cosplay as the guy from The Office.
He does.
Does
to
look
recognize the
sorta like it.
legitimacy of this micronation, whose currency is tied to the price of cookie dough. Now, obviously, if you're going to try and secede from the Union, you're going to need a good lawyer. But if you want a great lawyer, my firm, the Eagle Team, can help. If you've suffered a data breach, especially if
We
you've
don't
gotten a
need
data
this,
breach
bro.
lawyer, right below. So let's jump right into it. Does the Constitution provide a right to unilaterally secede from the Union? Well, to give everyone's favorite answer, it depends. No, actually, no. States and localities have zero constitutional right to declare themselves independent and break away from the United States. Any votes to secede unilaterally is just political virtue signaling and with zero legal effect. And yet the, quote, constitutional right to secede is a myth that refuses to die, but for really interesting reasons. Now, no state has bought into this mythical right to secede more than the Lone Star State. In fact, Texans love to repeat the legend that Texas, as a condition to joining the U.S., negotiated an annexation treaty which grants them the unique right to unilaterally secede from the Union and once again become the Republic of Texas. But you might be surprised to learn that the terms of the Texas annexation contain no such provision. But Texas won't be cowed by your big city fact-checking and literacy. As a result, these states' conservative leaders continue to falsely proclaim a right to secede. In June of 2022, Texas Republicans were once again whistling Dixie by adding to its party platform that Texas retains the right to secede from the United States, declaring a right to nullify the federal laws they don't like under the 10th Amendment, and urging the Texas legislature to pass a referendum to determine whether or not the state of Texas should reassert its status as an independent nation. And in March of 2023, Texas State Representative Brian Slayton introduced a bill to put said referendum on the November 2023 ballot. And just in time for the 2024 election, the Texas Supreme Court declined to take up a case from a conservative group that wanted to add Texas secession to this year's presidential primary ballot. But that raises the question, on what legal grounds do some Texans claim the state has a right to secede? Well, according to Daniel Miller, the president of the pro-secession Texas Nationalist Movement, Texas has an implied right to secede because the Constitution doesn't say it can't.
Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution lists everything states are forbidden from doing. Guess what's not in there? Withdrawing.
In addition, Miller claims that the 10th Amendment, which says that the federal government only has power spelled out in the Constitution or not delegated by the states, means that states can choose to leave. Now, this argument isn't completely insane. There is a canon of construction that allows you to interpret contracts or statutes by what is included. Specifically, it's based on the Latin phrase is justum generis, which means the company it keeps. If you create a list of things and something is not included in that list, then you can assume that it was not meant to be included in that list. That being said, the argument is also similar to the one used in the movie Air Bud. Basically, there's nothing in the Constitution that says you can't secede from the United States or that a dog can't play basketball.
But you won't find anything in there that says a dog can't play.
He's right. Ain't no rule said the dog can't play basketball.
So I wouldn't necessarily hang my hat on that argument.
I love it. I love it.
I cannot believe we actually having this conversation. I'm just sitting here thinking like, so basically everybody is using America's resources and military. And then after everything is cool and you get your happy ending, you just say, fuck you and become your own country. Is that what they?
To be honest, if this actually happened, I'm packing my bags tomorrow.
Well, like I said, Texas does have like 10 years of history where they were the Republic of Texas. So maybe not so much in some of the other states, but Texas at one point felt like they were their own country anyway.
Yeah, it's easy to feel like it's your own country when everybody around you is fighting with fucking either with spears or fucking musket balls with fucking knives at the end of it. But now that we got drones and weapons of mass destruction, you sure you want to have this conversation?
Well, the problem is that I see is if Texas were like, let's say it happened, say Texas was allowed to secede, then other states would also feel they had the right to secede.
What I'm saying.
And then if you have a bunch of states that secede, all of those states are going to be their own place for like 6 months. And then some power is going to come take them, bitches. Like, let's be real. Like, who the fuck are you fighting? You have no military. Somebody's going to come in, they're going to take over that area, and now we got some more shit to deal with. Like, that would be the end of America.
Yeah.
There's the argument that Texans have, they built a lot of the manufacturing and stuff. So a lot of the drones and the things that they use for weapons, a lot of the parts and stuff are built in Texas. Texas is home of NASA. So, I mean, Texas is I guess advanced in technology. So they probably don't
because of America though. And matter of fact, mentioning that NASA is in Texas is exactly why this shit is never happening. Like,
I
if
mean,
they take NASA out of Texas and all the fucking, factories where they making parts, whether it's for weaponry or whatever, or technology, then Texas is nothing and fucking Mexico is gonna take it over.
Man, this makes me want to talk about my other country.
What'd you say, Carter?
Nothing.
Oh.
Most likely, Airbud would be able to secede before Texas. Especially because legal scholars and constitutional experts seem to overwhelmingly agree that the US Constitution does not allow for secession. For example, Stanford Levison, who is a law professor at the University of Texas, Austin, said that, quote, almost no lawyer would take that argument seriously. I do believe it is viewed as a closed question. And courts that have weighed in on the issues of secession have always shot them down. In 2010, Alaska's Supreme Court ruled that secession was illegal, and thus an initiative putting the question to a vote could not be placed on the ballot. So any effort to put a matter on the ballot in Texas would likely not be constitutional either. Even the late Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, who followed a strict form of constitutional interpretation dubbed originalism, said that there's no legal basis for secession. And we learned Scalia's views on this matter in a quite unusual way. Back in 2006, legally minded screenwriter Daniel Turkowitz wrote a letter to all 9 Supreme Court justices for advice on a farcical script he was writing in which Maine secedes from the US and joins Canada, leading to a climactic showdown at the Supreme Court. Scalia was the only justice to provide a substantive response to Turkowitz, and the late justice was unequivocal. Quote, to begin with, the answer is clear. If there was any constitutional issue resolved by the Civil War, it is that there is no right to secede. Hence, in the Pledge of Allegiance, one nation indivisible. The justice also explained why a secession case would never end up before the Supreme Court. Quote, I find it difficult to envision who the parties to this lawsuit might be. Is the state suing the United States for a declaratory judgment? But the United States cannot be sued without its consent, and it has not consented to this sort of suit. I am sure that poetic license can overcome all that, but you do not need legal advice for that. Good luck with your screenplay. And although the Supreme Court has never heard a direct secession case, it did address the question indirectly in 1869, and once again, it involves Texas. The Supreme Court case of Texas versus White centered on the cash-strapped state selling U.S. Treasury bonds to help finance its war with the Union. A brokerage firm purchased some of these bonds and then resold them to investors. And after the South's defeat, the Union-supported Reconstruction government of Texas filed suit against the brokerage firm directly with the Supreme Court, as the Constitution confers original jurisdiction to the top court for cases in which a state is a party. And Texas argued that the rebel government had illegally sold these bonds, and the state was therefore entitled for their return and/or repayment. The brokerage firm argued that these sales were legal and it had no duty to repay Texas. And in a 5-3 ruling, the Supreme Court ruled that the Confederate States' sale was illegal because Texas's secession itself was illegal, and as a matter of law, it never happened. Writing for the majority of the court, Chief Justice and secret grizzly bear Salmon Chase, who once famously graced the face of the now defunct $10,000 bill, declared, quote, the union between Texas and the other states was as complete, as perpetual, and as indissoluble as the union between the original states. There was no place for reconsideration or revocation except through revolution or through the consent of the states. So the Supreme Court has spoken. There are only 2 paths to secession: revolution or a consensual dissolution. Now, before you go thinking that declaring war against the United States is just this one weird trick that allows you to secede, or governments hate it because it's so successful, I should note that waging war against the government is not legal. It's what we lawyer types would call treason, a crime that is punishable by death. Hashtag not legal advice, don't commit treason. Also, seceding by force.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah, treason is punishable by death. Texas is, it seems like it's coming off like Texas being one big Karen. Like, oh, we want our own rights. Blah, blah, blah.
Standing behind Texas, man.
You standing behind Texas?
That's damn right. If they want to succeed and they're willing to not take any help from the rest of the Union, which would be the rest of the United States, let them. Fuck them.
Yeah, but you want to see the world burn, so
I was just about to say,
hell no. Like I said, if they succeed, I'm moving to Texas.
So you just want them to succeed for your own benefit.
I'm done with the United States,
brother.
I'm done with the United
Welcome
States.
to Texas, son.
So what do we get if they get their way? What's the benefits? Why move over there?
Welcome to the family, son.
A lot more freedom, probably.
More free, yeah. What
A lot,
the
probably
United
less
States,
taxes.
the United States
Probably less
promised to
taxes.
be this big free thing, but as far as I've seen, it's not that free.
If you don't
The
have to pay
American- the Amer-
taxes, I'll move there.
The American dream, what's that? A non-existent thing you use to coax people?
Yeah, it's all a psyop for sure.
Taxes? Oh, I make $100, you get $50. Someone else for taxes gets another $20. Fuck that.
Well, yeah,
If
we don't have what's that state income tax. Texas doesn't do no federal shit. I forget. No, we do state taxes. That's what it is. But we don't pay.
Texas,
What's
but
it? Income tax, right?
Texas is not. What I'm trying to say is, what are they promising if they become?
They're not promising anything. They just saying Texas can take care of their own self. They don't need the government to support them.
So that's like me. That's like me hiring somebody for protection or for a job or to build my house, and I'm like, so what's your experience? I got this. Like what? You got this? That's what I'm. You just want it. You just So what? Like.
I think it should come down to a vote, and if a majority rules the citizens of Texas want to secede from the union, let them do it.
That's fine, but what I'm saying,
they
what am
know
I
what they're
getting?
giving up.
What am I getting though? What are they even promising any? They not. He said they're not promising anything. You got the death penalty and women can't get abortions and it's open carry and you republic.
I guess it's some people could see it as a way to start new. It would be a new nation after so many years. So it's a way to start new without the tropes that are you stuck with in the United States. Maybe this Republic of Texas can do something different.
It sounds good. It's got the Republic in it. It sounds you can move to Canada for that shit.
Well, the US has a lot of laws and things, and that's not just for Texas, but the US, especially the government, regulates a lot of trade. That regulates a lot of things, across, the imports and exports and everything like that. And Texas, with it basically owning his, his own resources and everything, feels. This is just subjective, but I'm just thinking Texas feels like they can manage. They don't need all the regulations and things that the government imposes. They can just they have enough income, they have enough resources to manage themselves. And like I said, they did it for 10 years before. Although 10 years not really a long time, but they did it for 10 years before. They were independent before, so it's like,
what that should sound like to me?
Done it before.
That sound like your kid telling you, "I'm a big boy now. I don't need a babysitter." And it's like I'm supposed to leave the house to you based off that. Like,
Well, the only difference with that is the kid would have to have substantially lived on his own by itself. Like if
you have resources. So the kid's telling me, I got resources. I got food in the refrigerator. I got this. All your resources come to me. I allowed you to have those resources. You can make a fucking sandwich because I brought the bread, meat, and cheese. Texas have, you got a few resources. It's not like what are y'all gonna eat? Cows and fucking chicken the whole way through. That's all y'all got. It's farming animals. I don't understand. You don't have gold. You don't have weapons. Like you don't have a fucking army. You don't have fucking NASA. The best technology in the fucking world come from something I provided to you. You feeling too sexy. If I pull NASA out, if I pull all the resources out, then what? And if we decided to wage war on Texas, we will fucking crush it. It's not very smart.
I mean, I'm not saying they don't necessarily need to turn their back on each other either if they wanted to do it that way. I mean, they don't need to go to war about it. If they agreed to let Texas succeed, there's what the smart thing would do is basically make it like I scratch your back, you vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
You guys do whatever you want to do with your government there, You kill whoever wants to cross the border. You do what you want. Death penalties, the whole works. But you're still gotta be loyal to the United States.
That sounds familiar. You know who else we had a deal like that with? Saddam Hussein. And what do everybody we kill have in common? They have oil. What do Texas have?
My question
Texas
is
has oil too.
No, let's
Exactly.
talk about it. We're gonna play friends with y'all for a little bit. Then we're gonna end up calling whoever's the head of Texas dictating. We're gonna fucking crush y'all and get it all over again.
What does the United States have to gain by allowing the secession? Absolutely nothing. They have everything already. Why would they give it up? What do they
But
gain by letting them go?
That's the thing. Like, yeah, that's why the U.S. kind of like, you know, it's not. They don't even see it as really a possibility. It's like
Right.
the U.S. isn't losing. The U.S. would lose more.
They gain nothing and only
Right.
lose. Like, fuck
Right.
you. No.
Just,
The
I
answer is
mean,
no.
but think about what I said. Everybody that we go to war against has oil. You sure you want to be on the other side of us? I mean, look at the history of what we've done to everybody that has oil.
Only difference with that is they're overseas, so they can do their damage and not, you know, suffer.
So
too
we can
many-
take a car ride to kill y'all. That's cheaper.
I did say it's like a militia, so
Malicious
You
never
ain't-
win.
you
We saw
ain't-
malicious. We saw
yeah.
malicious.
We started as a militia. What are you
Yeah,
talking?
like we saw what malicious do. That's adorable. I could have some fucking kid that's fucking hocked up on 4 Locos and Mountain Dew, get in one of these fucking drones and fucking blow y'all to fuck the smithereens. I wouldn't want that if I lived in Texas. It's like a false sense of security. Like, think about what I'm saying.
Texas
Everybody
could-
that we war with had oil. You
And
guys
then-
have oil. Why would
And
we
then do
play
you
nice with
realize how big Texas is? Texas compared, other than like,
Who's bigger, Iraq or Texas?
I'm talking about compared to the rest of the U.S. Texas is bigger than Iraq. Actually,
it?
don't quote me on that. I'm not
It's pretty
sure.
close.
But
Texas is a big state, but compared to the rest of the United States, it's small. They would get steamrolled.
I'm telling you, and compared to the weaponry that America has.
Right. America has an entire military industrial complex. The one thing America does is military.
I think the better option than succession would maybe in some workaround give them more. I don't know how you put states' rights would be the word. Maybe let them do what they want.
Why?
If they don't want the government's help when it comes to the border crisis, let them deal with it. If they want to deal with it, let them deal with it.
Why?
Why though? Why would they? Do
Right.
that?
The problem is, I understand that people want freedom. People like feeling like they're in control. People want to control their immediate environment. I get that. But you have to look from both sides. Yes, the state wants freedom. I get that. From the government's point of view, why would I give you anything? I control you. This is my shit. You don't like the position you're in, I'll put somebody else in your seat. They'll run it the way I want. I'm just saying, from their point
No
of
one
view.
gives up power, bro.
Right, from their point of view, it's essentially a monarchy still.
The reason that I think they could maybe do a workaround deal like that is because it's a lot. If it, and this example is if it really got, spitting back and forth, right? It'd be a lot better on them and for them than another civil war.
Texas ain't waiting
But
a civil war by
a lot of
themselves.
that's a lot of people killing each other that we
I
don't
look
need in the
at
United States. That cripples the United States.
I look at civil war as fighting. When I was younger, when somebody say, "I don't want to fight you," I'm like, well, to me, a fight is a match between 2 potentially equal yoke individuals. Like, I'll whoop your ass. This is what's going to be happening. Like, this is an ass whooping. This is not civil war. This is a ant under a boot heel.
Right, but that's a lot of unnecessary death. is what
But
I'm
we've
getting
done
at.
it before.
To our own citizens.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Why do it again?
I don't think this would. I don't think this will come anywhere near a civil war either.
It would.
Like,
It wouldn't. I said it is
mainly
a
because
hypothetical.
Texas will be on their own.
It
Like,
would be
the
a
reason-
hypothetical, and you don't
the
know they'd
reason-
be on
But
their own
then
either.
also, yeah, because what they said, there's what
Well, that's a
Texas
good
decided
point.
to follow. The other states that they mentioned in this video would likely try to follow Texas too.
For all
The
we
reason-
know, in this hypothetical world, the 11 states could break off and try to help Texas again, so the United States would be split down to Mason-Dixon again.
Right. What I was trying to say was like the reason the Civil War happened before was slavery. There was a ton of free labor, meaning a ton of money going away from a lot of powerful people. That's why they were all willing to fight and die to keep it. There's nothing to fight and die for right now other than you want to be your own place. Most states are going to be like, fuck you, you guys sound crazy.
Yeah. Just
I don't
start a
think so.
fight over nothing. Like I don't even hit. So I get what Mr. Fife is trying to say. I guess I don't see the benefit for it to even be a potential thing.
I think the ramifications, if like let's just do Cobra's thing where you say, okay, let's say that did happen. Say there was a civil war. I think that would be even more catastrophic because we have way too many enemies abroad to be fighting within ourselves to that degree. Like if we're focused in on ourselves, like we're essentially fucked. Like we can't.
That's what I was trying to say. Is if we do another civil war, we're sitting ducks.
Well, even just secession, if we start losing states, all of these countries that the Brexit or whatever it's called, all of these countries are constantly on alert. Texas secedes. They're going to be doing everything they can to get that back door. Everything they can. They would give Texas anything to have that back door. Right at the southern tip of America, America would never let that shit go.
Yeah,
Ever.
at this point, for how easy it is to move around the world, and the crazy reality that's not reality, who says they don't reach out to some other country to help them?
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I mean,
I hear what you're saying. I just don't see America ever being like, okay, I'll allow it. There's no
And reaching out to another country is treason. So then,
so
you
it's
really gonna
succession.
get the axe. Yeah. What if
So what's the
Texas?
difference?
What if Texas want to secretly take over Mexico?
right the other way around, but you know,
Team up
Mexico
with
want
the
to take
cartels?
over Texas?
just from my perspective, that's what I would say.
That would be actually smart to join forces.
Well, I don't think Texas would really allow that itself.
Why? Because
So it kind of plays both sides.
they feel like
Texas-
they sell drugs. Y'all didn't mind slaving people. The fuck?
Well, like which I was saying earlier, like Texas feels like, oh, we can threaten the U.S. or say we should secede, but they don't want to go back to Mexico either. They want to. They prefer to be their independent state,
Yeah.
I guess.
All right, let me
Yeah.
ask you this. If you were America, say America was a person, you were in America, and Texas was like, we want to secede, we're doing it no matter what you say, what would your reaction
You asking everybody?
be? Yeah. What would your reaction be? So
Like I said,
one
think
of your
about it. If you're
biggest
America,
oil
you're a
producers-
body.
Yeah.
And you guys said that, and I know Texas is huge. So somebody's basically saying we're gonna amputate your leg.
I don't know. I would probably be like, go ahead.
Yeah.
At that point, you would say, I guess I'm thinking like,
Well, it's even like it's like your leg is saying, I want to leave. And you're gonna be like, all right, leg, go ahead.
but the thing is, okay, you guys both said the United States can just take back Texas whenever they wanted, anyways, right? Is that what both of you said? This yes or no answers is fine.
Yeah.
Fucking honestly, because I'm just gonna try to play both sides, right? Let them, because if they fail because they don't have the resources or something goes wrong, they'll be crawling back anyways, or you
That's-
take them back.
That's easy to say using the parenting analogy. That's easy to say when it's not your fucking house. I don't want to take chances with my house. It runs perfect the way it is.
Right, but like also answer the question. Like, what would you do? Like, if Texas wanted to leave, are you going to say yes? And if
Right.
so, why?
Yeah,
Why would
yes,
you ever
yes or
say
no,
yes to that?
motherfucker? Would you say yes?
Yeah.
I'd say
Why?
yeah too.
Why would you say yes? You have nothing to gain, everything to lose. Why would you choose to lose?
But what are you really losing if you can just take it back whenever you want?
Because it's resources that I don't have to waste.
Right.
Like I said, think of it as
all
a
the
parent. I know you're going to fail.
All the money you're losing in this time, you never get back. Any foreign relationships that are developed, that's just permanent. Like, there's all types of downsides. There's no upside. Fuck you, you're not going anywhere. That would be what I think. I don't know.
And it's going to be resentment if I have to take it back, which I should have never let it go in the first place.
As a matter of fact, I'll go one step ahead. If you were determined to leave, no matter what I said, I would flatten that motherfucker and rebuild before I let you leave. That's my honest opinion. I don't need you there. I don't need the actual people are disposable. What's valuable is the land. If I had to, I would flatten that whole motherfucker and put new people there.
I think that in itself would cause a whole nother civil war.
It's not going
No,
to be
I'm just saying, I'm saying at that point we're at war. I'm saying if it came to that point where you keep escalating and I keep saying no, and then you try to fight, if I have to fight, I would fight to the point that there was no one left. I have nothing to lose and everything to gain still.
But Sabius and Mr. Fife keep saying civil war, like we're gonna be two different sides on each side running towards each other with muskets and shit. No, I'm gonna crush. It's no such. That shit's gone. No civil war. I blow you the fuck up from the comfort of my home. You die if you don't do what I say.
What I guess what I'm gonna try to impose is that Texas has a lot of that part military technology stuff too. So the drones you send into Texas can send to pretty much any other state they wanted to as well. So then it comes into Texas. Well, if you look at like sports, if you look at like especially like football and everything, most of the football players like they come from Texas.
You pull up a map of the U.S.
You say what?
Can you pull up a map of the U.S.?
Sure.
I just want to do a compare and contrast. Okay. Texas is that yellow part there at the bottom. The U.S. is everything else. I'm pretty sure everything else is going to crush that part, the yellow part at the bottom.
What I'm getting at is that if Texas seceded, and they mentioned it earlier, what other states are going to follow? It's not going to be 49 other states all against Texas. If Texas seceded, you're probably going to get New Mexico, Louisiana, all the way down to Florida, those states in between, Alabama, Georgia.
Why?
Because
Texas was the only one before. Right. During the Civil War, they were all allied for money. Currently, like over the years, Texas is the only one, one of the very few people constantly saying they want to leave. It seems like they're on their own saying they want to be their own place. They're not trying to leave and take these other states with them to the Republic of Texopia. They're trying to leave and be the Republic of Texas. So they're not trying to take other people with them. They're trying to leave on their own. So they're going to get crushed on their own, probably.
I'm not saying they're going to go on. I'm saying there's going to be other states that follow. If Texas seceded, other states would be like, hey, if Texas secede, Louisiana might say we want to secede. Alabama,
All
like,
the
we
more
want to
reason.
succeed.
All the more
You
reason.
see
for
how they
fire and
lined up.
brimstone.
You see how they all lined up everything you naming. I think that strategically that's bad. It'd be easy to just crush all of them. But let's say if California right here or Montana follow suit, with New York following suit and everybody in the middle, I think that they'll have something in. But all of that in line, that's just easy to blow the fuck up, bro.
First off, you're not blowing up something that's so in your own proximity. If you blow up
they're not
Texas,
carpet
you're
bombing it.
taking out, you're taking out several other states with Texas. You're not gonna just blow up Texas.
The casualties alone
gonna
will
go
cause
over.
other countries to turn against the United States.
Montana doesn't have the
we
population that Texas
we
has.
cannot pretend and ignore that we have not seen the evils that our country will perform to protect.
Those are across, like I said, other places across the sea. If you carpet bomb Iraq or something, yeah, you ain't got to worry about the repercussions of explosions, radiation coming
Black
over.
Wall Street with no
I was just about to say, yeah, I'm not.
Nobody
I'm
gave
pretty
a fuck.
sure it's a lot of other people who gonna be in the
city.
comments who gonna ignore the atrocities that America has fucking caused for obvious fucking reasons. But I'm not. You talking about the same fucking state that enslaved people, fucking put fucking diseases into black people for shits and giggles, fucking enslaved Irish people, bombed other fucking countries, babies and shit, and mustard gas and carpet bomb and napalm, and I'm supposed to expect for them to have a fucking heart? Nah, man, fuck that. Is you serious?
It's logical.
That's not logical.
You're not gonna blow up your backyard just to take
If I'm the
somebody
devil,
out.
I fucking will. I don't
Wait,
give a fuck.
You're not gonna blow up your backyard.
I disagree. Okay, actually, that's a good analogy. So, say you have a house. Your next door neighbor literally hates you and wants to kill you. Your backyard is controlled by somebody else, and your backyard wants to join your neighbor to kill you. What are you going to do to stop that from happening?
I'm blowing that motherfucker up. You talking to
I
somebody?
would burn down my backyard.
Bro, you talking to somebody who
shot
I shot my own car up because somebody jumped in the driver's seat, tried to drive off. I don't give a fuck.
I would burn my backyard before I let my enemy get that much closer to my fucking door.
Hell yeah.
And then also you got so many people that's in the government, that's in these other states are from Texas. So you think all these other people that's transported, moved to New York, they're gonna be like, yeah, blow up Texas.
So you know what I say to that, Sabius? It reminds me of a few situations I experienced in my life. If I'm arguing, let's say you got a brother, right? Let's say your brother is hurling insults at me, right? He's talking all this shit to me, and I'm not saying nothing. But your mind is like, I'm gonna let them figure it out. Once I start going back at your brother and whooping his ass, if you try to break us up, I'm gonna whoop your ass because you had a chance to diffuse this shit a long time ago. So for all them people that you talking about, you should have told your people to shut the fuck up. Now this is happening. Now this is happening. You think you couldn't get your own people to shut up? You think you're going to tell me what to do? No.
Most of those people are career politicians who are trying to make easy money doing very little. They are not going to jeopardize their own future for a failed mission that they know is never going anywhere anyway. Yes, they would sit there and
watch.
If
one of my family members decide to go up against America, it's not like, hold on.
Yeah. I'm like, well, I guess he's getting set on fire. It's gonna hurt.
Every time I went to jail, I went by myself. None of my family members went. So hey, that's on you.
Plus, earlier, I thought the premise was you said Texas would succeed. So you were saying, in the essence, like, if Texas said, okay, we're going to let you go. And then you just like, no, we're not going to let you go. We're going to destroy you if you decide to go. I think those.
No, my point from the beginning was, I don't see why America would ever say yes. They have nothing to gain. They have a lot to lose. They would never say yes. And if Texas tried to leave, even with America saying no, and tried to fight them, America would more likely burn them to the ground than let them leave because they just want to. The risk is too great.
And let me add on to what he's saying by saying this. I hate to try to speak for him as well, but I feel like with me and Kara, rather we was with this idea or not, we just looking from the other side is not going to work. Why would they release power? When have you ever seen them do that? I just can't see it happening. And I don't even hear a good benefit of doing it. Now, if they was to say something like, we're going to give the oil to America and just do business with them, we'll lease the oil out for 100 years, but we're going to have all of this going on that we want going on, then I can see America being like, that's fine. Yeah, that's a good contract. But like, we're going to let you say they got resources. We have the resources with you. We just going to let you cut us out. Usually that's like a business deal. Usually when you do a business deal and you try to buy your partner out, there's a buyout. There's something that's on the table that make them say, yeah, this makes sense for me. And I'm looking for that in this situation. Where does it make sense for America to allow Texas to do this? Other than I just feel like it's time. Like, what the fuck? Can't see it.
Well, what I was saying was, and I thought we all agreed that the U.S. didn't really have a benefit for Texas if Texas seceded. So I'm not saying the U.S. would get a benefit. All I'm saying is if Texas decided bad enough that they want to succeed, and you were asking me like why, or why would I say yeah? Because I would probably think that they would come back sooner or later.
Mr. Fife, you got something?
I'm 100% in agreement with Savius.
Okay. All right, so we split.
Even unsuccessfully, or especially unsuccessfully, will typically result in a high body count. And during the Civil War, about 620,000 people, or 2% of the nation's total population, were killed. So unless you're jazzing to murder thousands, if not millions, of your friends and neighbors, spend decades in prison for sedition, or get executed for treason, revolution is probably not the ideal secession path. In fairness, that would be the most Texas thing that you could do.
Texas will never do that because Texas was.
But there is one way to secede without murdering a whole bunch of people. The states and the federal government consent to your secession. Now, of course, some states already act like their own independent nations and have the wealth to back that up. If California and Texas were their own countries, they would be the 5th and 10th largest economies in the world by GDP, respectively. And if one state leaves, it's easy to imagine the domino effect of mass exodus of red and or blue states. So what would a consensual breakup between one or more states look like? Well, in a December 2022 article for the New Republic, Bryn Tannehill, a former naval aviator and a senior defense analyst, gamed out what a divided United States of America might actually look like. In the piece, Tannehill outlined scenarios for what she referred to as a soft secession and hard secession, which she described as akin to a separation versus a messy divorce, respectively. In Tannehill's view, a soft secession could look like the 56-nation British Commonwealth, where nations like New Zealand, Canada, and Australia technically owe allegiance to the crown, but in practice, they're all their own sovereign nations, and the monarch's role is entirely ceremonial. The US doesn't have to swear allegiance to the crown because we're dope and we do dope things. But she also cited as an example the Kurds in northern Iraq, and that, while technically part of Iraq, the Iraqi government exercises little control, and the Kurds have their own armed forces that cooperate in anti-terror operations against ISIS. Though that hasn't exactly worked out especially well for the Kurds historically. But the idea of a soft secession has its supporters on the conservative, albeit never Trump side of the aisle, like former National Review columnist David French. French argued that different states and different regions.
You just look at this motherfucker. You just know he's evil. He lost all his hair. He's got vampire fangs and a fucking beak nose.
Should be empowered to go about American life in a radically different way without federal intervention. So in practice, this would look like a beefed up version of federalism, which French describes as tolerance through self-governance and community autonomy. In the system, more power would be delegated to the states, while the federal government takes a hands-off approach to let the laboratories of democracy chart their own paths. So in theory, this type of soft secession would have the benefit of preserving the Union and America's global power in a troubled world, while leaving open the possibility of reconciliation. But that would also require Americans tolerating policies without a federal floor of rights and or protections that many would find detestable and unacceptable, including dissenting citizens within said states. But Tannehill argues that a hard secession is a more dangerous proposition. Quote, this would involve a clean break. No more ostensible allegiance to a government in Washington, simply regions breaking off and forming their own countries based on common culture, religion, ethnicity, and regional identity. According to Tannehill, a hard secession could take many forms. It could be like the outcome of the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, which triggered an economic collapse and a huge decrease in life expectancy, not to mention the matter of nuclear materials being scattered across successor states. Tannehill also cites to the fall of Yugoslavia in the 90s, which resulted in a decade of civil war and genocide. Or it could be like Taiwan and China, a decades-long cold armed standoff. But apart from the legality or illegality of the whole situation, a national divorce, even a consensual one, would be an absolute bureaucratic nightmare with a ton of unanswered questions. Like, how would the national debt be divided? What happens to all the money paid into federal programs like Social Security and Medicare for those leaving the U.S.? What do we do with federal assets like the Gold Fort at Fort Knox or the U.S. military bases? And for that matter, what happens to the U.S. military itself? And the nukes? Dibs on the nukes. Yeah, I'm sure this will work out just fine. In short, yes, theoretically, you could break up the United States through mutual consent, but only at great personal, economic, and political costs. There are just so many complicated issues to resolve, even with a mutual separation, not to mention that America's standing in the world would immediately and permanently be diminished. And even if the initial separation were peaceful, which I kind of doubt, there would be years of disputes from trade and redrawing borders. And as history has shown regarding boundary disputes, there's no guarantee that we wouldn't break out into an all-out, bloody second civil war. So I know we've all been fussing and feuding, but let's just take a breath and remember, as Americans, we have more in common than what divides us, and find a way to work through our issues together, at least until the kids go to college. And it looks like a frightening number of states are going along with the plan to give the middle finger to the federal government. That didn't work out so well last time. So, Marjorie, stop trying to make secession happen. It's not going to happen. Instead, let's just all take a breath and remember, as Americans, we have more in common than divides us, and find a way to work through our issues together, at least until the kids go to college. And if you're looking to send your kids to college, you'll probably need to find ways to manage your finances and save money. Luckily, today's sponsor.
The kids to college.
Yeah.
That motherfucker. I was like, why does he keep saying send the kids to college? It was a pitch. That was clever. I like it. I like how you played that in there.
I think if they stop charging us fucking taxes, all of this conversation will stop. I'm down with that. And also, out of all the shit I said about the outcome, I'm willing to take the risk if Texas like, hey, we getting rid of taxes altogether. I'm packing my shit and I'm gone.
Texas has a lot of, and I didn't even think about how many like military bases. I'm not 100% sure. I was gonna look it up, but I think Texas has the most military bases.
Yeah, but
out of the U.S.
But you got to realize how I'm like taking in that information. That's like you telling me you guys have a lot of karate dojos, and I'm talking about all the gun shops that we own.
Texas has a lot of gun shops too, though.
But not big guns like these. Y'all not equally yoked to America. So that's all I'm saying. Like, you may go to the gym, I may go to the gym, but you're bench pressing 350 while I'm doing the cool 550. And I'm just saying, I may crush.
Right. The military that's currently in Texas is the American military.
Hmm.
If they're no longer part of America, they're leaving. Because they're the American military. They're not the Texas military.
And also,
those are American military bases. They're not Texas military.
We own
bases.
NASA too.
So the thing is, with that, like, that would mean, yeah, some people would leave. Does that mean that all the military bases are going to leave?
Well, the bases might not, but all that fucking equipment and shit is.
You think all the equipment is going to
I'm not saying all. I never said the word all because I never use all or every because.
Well, most of it.
Those are trap terms. But I think if the American military owns the property there, it's going with America. And if it's an American military complex, then it belongs to America. It doesn't belong to Texas.
I wish it was like a list of like 3 to 5 things or however many it is. Like that Texas would like to see America as a whole doing. Like, why do you want to leave? And I like to see those lists of things because that list may make me look at it and be like, yeah, we should be fucking doing this shit. Let's vote on it. Let's not let Texas separate from us. We might want the same things. You know, instead of being like, fuck it, I don't want to have a conversation. We just want to go out on our own. It's like, but why?
To be honest, I agree with some things like that. Other states have those. Like when it came to like the COVID and all of that stuff, and then like the mask mandate, you can't leave your house. Those are infringements on your freedoms.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of states that were like, fuck you, you don't have the right to try to take my freedoms away. I'm with them on that.
Yeah.
Like, I agree completely. Like, if the vaccine's so great, then me not having it isn't endangering you. If you have the vaccine, you're safe. We're both good. I don't want to take it. You're already protected. Everybody's happy. What's the problem here? I should be able to live my life the way I want. So should you. I'm with that. I understand like what Texas, in my opinion, which could be wrong, what Texas and other like super red states want is the right to chart their own course. I get it. However, fighting isn't going to work. You're better off just moving to another country. If you don't want to live in America, you just need to leave.
You said move to another country. I can see so many people in Texas telling other people that, and they doing all the complaining.
Yeah.
Why don't you move to another fucking country?
And what is this thing about Texas is gonna fight? Like, what if they just say we don't want to fight the U.S. We just want to secede? The seceding has the in the comments and conversations about seceding, it has nothing to do about like what they say revolutionary against the U.S. They just want to be their own independent state.
The problem is that's a very short conversation. The conversation goes like this. We want to secede, no. And that's it forever. Because there's no reason America would ever say yes.
And that could potentially start the fight. Even if
I would never say yes. I would never say yes.
Well, you wouldn't, but if
America will never say yes.
Let me ask you guys this. Mr. Fife and Sabis, do y'all feel like even proposing something like that, do y'all feel like this is treasonous activity? Like based on your opinion, not of course it is for America, but do you feel like it's treason?
Fife can go ahead first.
I feel like anything that doesn't go along with the agenda of the United States can be considered treason. So I'd have to say it technically would be treason against the United States. Not saying it's wrong or right, but anything that doesn't go to their agenda seems to be would be treason. You know, if I said this is the Republic of Wisconsin, that would be treason. And we're like, would never win a war. What are we gonna do? Throw cheese at people? Let's hope they're lactose intolerant.
I'll destroy all the cheese. You'll never have a delicious pizza again.
I actually feel like we should go to negotiations if they're talking about that because I like cheese.
I do too.
I'll be like, wait a minute now. Hold on. They talk about
let's not go crazy.
Right.
Let's not go crazy.
Let's hit them out real quick.
See, like Texas, y'all can't leave, but you talk about taking away the cheese.
Yeah.
Like we need to negotiate.
Fuck that oil. I ain't never put oil on a cheeseburger.
That cow, though, where you getting that cow from for that
burger?
That's
true.
Cows are delicious.
Yeah.
I
do got the mega farms out
you got
there.
cheese, but you ain't got the hamburger to put the cheese on top to melt it with.
Wisconsin,
Hey,
I know
what
it's
you gonna
people
do?
probably be screaming at the monitor saying Wisconsin got cows, but fucking Texas
I
got
like
the mega
Texas.
farms.
Yeah, I like Texas.
Cheese is good on everything though. So I can put cheese on like broccoli and cauliflower, carrots.
Hell
I can put
yeah.
cheese like turkey. Like I'm just saying. All I'm saying is cheese is universal.
Yeah.
Beef is just delicious in and of itself. Like it's just delicious. If I don't know how I
You
would
wouldn't know what
probably
to pick.
How far
I
would
don't-
broccoli
I
and
don't know what I
sandwich?
was like. Okay, okay.
Hey, that's
Screw
why. That's
everything
why in
before
that
this.
meeting, I'm gonna be the guy with Django. How about we all we all think it was a great idea? Straight up. Let's all slow the fuck down. We talk about taking beef off the table and cheese. Like we going crazy at this point.
See, I'm like that
You
Dave
gotta-
Chappelle where it's like, man, that's some good ass cheese. I want how come you tell me the cheese is this good?
All right, you gotta pick one. You lose one forever. I already know what Satan's gonna pick because he's practically vegetarian. But
Yeah.
you gotta pick beef or cheese.
Beef.
You give up beef or you keep beef?
I'm gonna
I
keep
keep
beef because beef make cheese.
No, if you keep beef, cheese is gone forever. Cheese just somehow magically disappears.
Give me beef.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go beef too.
I'm
'Cause I
just
love
thinking beef is protein. What you gonna do if you just eat cheese?
Cheese is protein. Cheese
It
has
ain't
protein in
enough.
it.
I'm sure it's not
But
enough.
enough of it would be. You just
Yeah.
gotta keep eating it.
You're gonna have to put a plunger over your asshole though to get the fucking shit out of it.
I
Somebody
gotta-
have to actually
be
put
back.
their foot on your ass
All
with
right.
the plunger.
Five guys use the bathroom.
I'll probably